Okay, here we are again. Week 17, Vegas Horse Pools, Proxy Service, Circa Million, Circa Survivor. Uh, Scott, tell us who we have this week.
Well, we got a lot to talk about first. First, I want to welcome Crack back to the show. It's good to have you back on here.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm over at the Win. I stepped out of the sports book because it was a little bit too loud in there, so I came over to the mall, which is not too far from the sports book. A little bit better here, and everyone's screaming and yelling. I was telling you guys ahead of time how everyone screams and yells when NBA game 2-0. They're on their feet. Yes, beer power.
Well, I would imagine the Nebraska fans are probably still celebrating in there too. I
Yeah,
was
no,
screaming the whole game myself, I have to admit. Adam, how did your book look on that Nebraska game? Did you guys need Nebraska?
In the end, I believe that was the case again. Pre-game we did, they were live, changed things around a little bit, but I think in the end it was an all right result.
Yeah, it was a great result. Not all right. It was great. Crack, I wanted to ask you about the Survivor contest. You got any picks left?
uh, I have 20% of a team.
A
Yes, we're
team,
going to be
okay?
going for the Colts. The Colts this week.
Oh,
We have
okay.
2 more weeks left. So right now there's 34 people in it. I have 20% of a team, and hoping to get by. Colts on the road, and major line moves came on the Giants today due to the quarterback situation on the Colts. And so we'll see what happens. Joe Flacco. I mean, he might be a little bit older than me, but hopefully he just continues the trend.
I got you. Well, we'll be cheering for the Colts tomorrow for you. Well, Adam, before we get started here, I'd like to talk a little bit about the pick you made last week, the Bears. I'd like to call you in the office just like I did last week to talk about this. And I want to let you know the slot manager just left. Slots did fine this week. Let's talk about the Bears. What happened in that ball game?
Well, that's why the slots manager's there, is to cover my ass when we have a bad week every now and again, so that's okay. Um, So, I mean, funny enough, I ended up winning on that Bears game because I took some. I think the biggest number I took was plus 19 and a half, plus 17 and a half, I think was the other one. Um, and that's where, again, just having the information, knowing when to stretch the legs. But it balanced out a bit more Sunday morning.
Good.
But yeah, clearly a little aggressive going into Sunday, holding that number. But it did peak to 7 again. And as soon as it went to 7, the smart guys put it back to 6.5. So, it's one game. It's how we do the business, and we'll cop that one on the chin and move on.
That's all we can do. That's all we can do. So I heard that you've got a pick this week, but let's hold your pick for this week. Let's pull up the proxy list. One of the most popular games this week that was picked by the VHP Proxy Millions customers was not only the Jets, Gary V's team. Crack, did you have any thoughts on this Jets game?
Um, Here in town, I bet the under 47. I think. Let me just pull up my screen. Got to pull up my own spank out screen here. Yeah, yeah, 47. 47 was the number I went under for. That's the benefits of living in Vegas. Really, we have some slow moving sports books that we're allowed to get into, and yeah, they had a couple 47s on the screen. A syndicate back east in New Jersey was on the under 47, and luckily enough, I was privy to that information and got to get some. And even though they put it out, they a couple of sports books here in town. The Win, I can name some sports books that are slow moving. The Win stations. Sometimes you catch Treasure Island if you're allowed to bet there. They throw anyone out with a pulse though, but even stations too. Stations throw people out. But they try not to know more. Stations just trying to get rid of their reputation. But until they let me back in, I'm going to make sure people know.
Well, Crack, I'm kicked out there too, just so you don't
Oh,
feel like you're the
okay.
lone wolf there. Yeah, they won't let me bet there at all. Don't even let me bet horses.
Wow.
So,
How
yeah,
nice of them.
yeah. So it's they love locals except locals that win, is what I've been
Yeah,
told.
that there's signs all over town say we love winners. We love winners and we love locals. Well, they don't love winners and they don't love locals that win. I can tell you
That's
that right
right.
now. So
I
when you got
100%
when and
agree.
I was hoping when like the antique that ran the joint, Art Mantaris, when he retired, I was hoping it was going to change, but he passed on the reins to a team of sweaters over there for sure. You never know. The owners are multi-billionaires with a B. You never know by
Yep.
the way they book sports.
That's a very, very correct statement. Adam, what is the book like? The inside information on this Jets game?
So this one's actually quite interesting. The Circa picks was Jets plus 11. The line looks like it's currently sitting flat 10, pretty solid there. We've got about 65% of the money on the Bills, but 95% of that money is at -8, -8.5, -9, and -9.5. So the bulk of that money is under 10. So, depending on how you use this information and look at it, 65% of the money is on the Bills, but 95% of that is below the key number of 10. On the flip side of that 35% that's on the Jets, 70% of that is at plus 10.5, average price -120. And then another 25% is on the plus 10, which is at an average number of minus 106. So, if it lands on 10, that's going to hurt this week, this game in particular. But right now it's probably the biggest bet game of the week. But all the money's either at 9.5 or less, or 10.5.
Right. So you've got a medal there that you really have to worry about in that case.
Yeah, for now. Again, we'll see what happens during live and whatnot. But right now, if it lands on 10, I think there'll be some pain felt.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's go to the next game, that Tampa Bay game. This was one of the top 4 games picked by VHP customers. Crack, do you have any action on the Tampa Bay game?
No, just amazing though that just Carolina, which has been playing a little bit better here these past, I think it's maybe like 4 out of 6 weeks. They've been playing a little bit better here. They're getting no respect. This line opened up 8. I see at Circa up to 8.5 and 9. There's actually Circa. Oh no, I'm sorry. Chris has 9. Circa has 8.5 all over the city. They just get no respect. I can't lay the points. With Tampa. Tampa barely beat them in Carolina a few weeks ago. Carolina should have won the game, actually. Carolina should have beat them in the overtime game.
All right, Adam, give us the peek behind the book. What does Prime say?
Yeah, so this one is interesting. It's kind of reverse top down from the Circa Millions. People took the +8 on Circa, but it's gone to +9. Oddly enough, it looks like about 2:30 in the afternoon on Christmas Day, it went to $9.25, and then a couple of days later, it went to $8.25, and this is when the bettors. 70% of the money is on Tampa Bay, but that about 90% of it is at -7.5 and -8. So it looks like they really took advantage, sort of Boxing Day and the 27th, to get their much lower number on Tampa Bay there. And then from there, it's pretty much moved up to 9. Little bit dog 9 again, I think, yesterday, but solid 9 right now.
Gotcha. Okay. So let's go to the next game then. This is Green Bay. The Green Bay game. Crack, are you still there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I'm just
okay.
enjoying
You're just
them
off.
all.
You're off screen. That's okay. Now you are.
Everything you said. Yep.
I got you. Do you have any action here on the Green Bay game? This is one of the top plays for the VHP proxy customers.
Here in town, Minnesota at Circa is pick'em. That concerns me because I thought I was getting a little bit of value early in the week. I took pick -08 on Minnesota, and I still see pick'em. So that kind of concerns me when a sports book that takes a lot of money is on. Is probably either neutral, or I would say from that line, they probably need Minnesota money. So a small play though, NFL sides I'm tough on. I really don't play a lot of NFL sides, anything serious. It's the most efficient line, especially closer to game time. I'm betting Sunday night, Monday morning, sometimes during the week, but that could be injury or info related. That's it. So nothing real big though.
Okay. Take us behind the book here, Adam. What does the insiders at Prime have?
This one's fairly balanced, slightly to Minnesota. On the sharp money, 90% of the money is on Minnesota. Looking at the Green Bay, 65% of the money is at pick. The rest is at +1. But Minnesota, again, there's 60% at the pick. So we have a very balanced line at pick, but we also laid Minnesota +1 and -1, kind of for the other 20% of each of those as well. So as long as it doesn't end in a tie after overtime, we should be safe there.
Sounds good. All right, well, we'll go to the fourth game here. This is the Cowboys game. Cowboys taking on the Eagles. Eagles are at home. Crack, do you have any action on this game?
Small play on the dog there. That was based on Hertz information, but it bounced right back. So even though there was an 8 here in town, this game opened up 10.5 here in town earlier in the week. Didn't get any of that. That would have been a nice number to have. Just like the Jets, I would have loved to have the Jets plus 10.5. That may even get tomorrow. But being in town here, you get those half a points like sometimes. Yeah, small play on Dallas. I don't know if Dallas is going to be into this game. If I trusted them more, it would have been a bigger play. The line bounced back, went to 6.5 at one point, 6.5 at Circa, and back up to 7.5 now. So nothing real special in this game.
Adam, give us the inside from the book.
Yeah, so looking at that game, and as Crack just said, it did hit that 6.5. All the early money was Dallas +9. 50% of the money we hold on them was at 9. Another 35% of it's at +7.5. But on the Philly side, 70% of the money we hold on Philly is at -6.5 and 7. So as soon as that number went down, that's when the Philly fans jumped on. So early in the week, looking at the dates, the bets are 24th, 25th, 26th are all Dallas +9. And then looks like end of 26 on into the 27th is when all the Philly -6.5, 7 money comes. So again, the right people sort of seeing the number early on Dallas, and then maybe they were just coming back a little bit on the other side to middle it, or seeing that, that was the value once the number dropped as well. But somewhat of a balanced, low volume book. I just noticed a little bit more come in on Philly as we've been sitting here. Another sort of 10, 15 dimes there. But yeah, right now this is just another game that if it lands on 8, it's not going to be a pretty result at this point.
Gotcha. I gotcha. So tell us a little bit about your Ohio customers compared to your New Jersey customers. Are the Ohio guys still beating you and New Jersey still losing? Or has it flip-flopped yet?
It has flip-flopped. There's really been a back and forth difference between live and pre. It's a lot more mixed up than it was previously. But I'll say again, New Jersey, I think it's, heavy arbors, doing a lot of good work for us, getting us in the right positions on the right sides against the other books. Ohio just coming across generally as fewer pros, picking their spots, really taking advantage of some of those moves, whatnot. But we do have a couple of really nice Ohio players that sort of make it interesting, really like to lay those short prices. So we've had some back and forth the last few weeks after they went on a really, really long tear for about 3 months there. So, it's good. I like that action. I like people laying the big numbers, laying the big money line, stuff like that. Get your blood pumping and I like dogs. I like upsets. And that's sort of, where my bread and butter's always been.
That sounds really good. I remember when I was a trader for in play, there was like 3 guys that would decide my whole night if I was going to win or not. And it really does get your heart pumping when they start to bet because they're literally the decision makers. So we've got one game left here on the board. Adam, I'm going to let you take this one away because I think this is your play of the week.
So it's going to be, I looked at tomorrow's charts, nothing jumped out, a lot of balanced stuff or low volume. Happened to see the time that we're coming on and the time of this game. So going to jump on the Arizona Cardinals. You can get the +7, I think, in a few spots. This is, again, one where significantly we are, call it 80% of the money is on the Rams, but 99% of the pro money is on the Cardinals. It's kind of split between +7, +6.5. So this was just a standout. So let's get our sweat over today, and then tomorrow we can just relax and watch the games.
That sounds really good to me. I'll be playing the Arizona as soon as we get done here. Hopefully, the line doesn't move too much. But those are probably the main things we wanted to talk about. I couldn't tell you how happy I am today with Nebraska finally pulling this off. I was very, very concerned when the score went 20-15 because I thought Nebraska had found a way to lose the game. They really like losing those late fourth quarter games by one score, but my God, they hung on. So I could not be more happy right now. And I wish I could have. I wish I could have bet the game. But other than that, great outcome. Crack. I know we're going to be cheering for Indy tomorrow. Anybody else you got on your wish list for tomorrow?
You know, here in town, there was a 7 a couple times of that Arizona game. Yeah, just like Adam said, I'm more towards the dog with the 7. I'll be rooting against the public on that game with the 7 points, and I hope the Cincinnati game lands on 3. That would be a good number for me because I had Cincy early in the week at a good money line, and I actually came back with a little bit. I usually don't arb or middle. I can't get enough money down normally unless it's around the 3 in the NFL. So sometimes if I'm on the screens there, I have my spank odds up. I'll use that to my benefit, and we'll see what happens here. Hopefully Cincinnati wins by 3.
Yeah, arbing is something I think you do when you first start out gambling.
Yeah, I did in the '90s. In the '90s, building a bankroll.
Exactly.
If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be where I was today. Yeah.
There you go. But just the problem is you can't get enough money down to make any money arbing. So there's not much point in it. I know people preach that a lot.
The other problem is if you arbed in the 90s and the early 2000s, it was such a big advantage, and your arbs were just like 20-25% arbs that you just find it hard these days to take these 0.5%, 1% things. So, yeah, I feel that one.
I used to have sports books on Fridays. Used to have no juice Fridays. You can move a 0.5 point for free. Offer on a 3 for no juice. Just it still costs you $1.10 -3 or -2.5 or +2.5 or +3.5. Those days are gone. So. They're way gone. People even overvalue the 3 now. It's much different with analytics, much different with the 10 yards, more extra points. Real hard to middle now.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. Because I know when I first started betting, that's what I used to do, was do some arbing. But you can't get enough money down in today's world to even make it worth it. So I've had to give that up myself. But I think that's about all we've got here. There's one more week of the Circa contest. Maybe we'll get somebody on next week that is having a sweat for the final week if we have one available. But I think that's about all we have for this week. Crack, do you have any parting words?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it. Best of luck to you this weekend. Happy New Year to everyone, including you guys.
Yeah, we're so happy that you're here. So, Adam, how about you? Do you have any parting words here before we go?
I do have some parting words. I think next week there might be a nugget we're going to drop at the end of the show. And I have a feeling that I'll be a hell of a lot closer and probably in your time zone when we do next week's show there, Scott.
Close enough I can apply for a job? Or not? Did I lose you, Adam?
Possibly. Let's see what the week and what the new year brings.
Boy, this is going to be exciting. You'll have to. I can't wait till next week when you tell me on the show. So that'll be really cool. So, like I said, we got one more week of the proxy service left. Big outcome next week with the Survivor, the $14 million. We'll see how many times they cut it up. But first, we need Indy to make it through this tomorrow, so Crack can be involved in that last week. But that's it for today, guys. Thanks for joining in, and good luck with all your bets this weekend.